Hello, everybody, and welcome to your slant board, slack board, and ergonomic handle practical. We're going to start off with the slack board here and go over some basic things on how to use it. And then we'll go to the slant boards, and then we'll finish off with some basic instruction on how to use these ergonomic handles. Okay. When it comes to the slack board, Allie started off with a great question asking if there was a weight limit. There is a weight limit. It's 400 pounds. Okay. So also, there is a dowel rod that comes with it. So at each location, there should be one of these. If you don't have one, you can use something like a curl bar, whatever, anything that would fit in the loop here. You put your tool in the loop and you pull down on it, and that makes it taut. You can see this one is pretty tight. This one is pretty loose. It loosens over time and use. So you want to make sure that your lines are good and tight before you put your client on there. So you can see me put my weight into it, and now they're both about the same tightness. Okay? So after you make the appropriate adjustment, now what do? So it's a good balance tool to strengthen feet, bring about proprioceptive awareness, and as Aaron said, it's also a little bit easier to get onto than the Bosu ball. Okay, so you have them just stand on it sideways like so. So they have both lines, both slack lines there to help them out. Okay, so just having them stand on there increases balance and proprioception. And then from there, you can just increase the difficulty. So some basic moves are some squats, okay? So you have them stand on here and you begin to do some assisted squats, or you have the TRX handles, or you're standing there holding them, helping them out, and focus on hinging the hips and sticking the butt back, okay? You can also do a one-leg squat, okay? So if you have them do like a kickstand squat on the ground and you cue them to put most of their weight on one foot and hardly any weight on the other, how can you tell? You can't, okay? But when you have them on the board here and you do a kickstand squat, you can see that I have all my weight on this leg and hardly any weight on this leg, just because of the way that the slack lines behave. You can see that this foot is higher than the other one, thus I have more weight on this leg. So it's a good tool to help you see if they are in fact loading the side of the body that you want them to load, okay? So good thing, one-legged squat. Also, if you want to make things a little more advanced, you can throw in a much more difficult balance component. Have them stand a little wider, throw one into the board up in the air, and then do a one-legged squat from this position, okay? Much more difficult, as you just witnessed, okay? Also, you can just have them walk from side to side on here, meaning take a step, get one side of the board up, and look. As I demonstrated last night, it's harder for me to get that side up. This side, piece cake, okay? This side, I have to really think about it, and I'm not nearly as stable as I am on the other side. Just to be able to casually walk from side to side is something that I don't master yet, but you get the idea, okay? So far, I've demonstrated everything standing on both straps. Now we'll stand on just one. I cue people to make a toe plank or think about gripping the slack line with their big toe, okay? And I just stand nice and tall. So I have just a tiny bit of weight on my floor foot. I'd say 98% of my weight is on the slack line. With good posture, and I think about pushing through my big toe and super straight leg, I feel my quad flex, okay? Especially the inside head of the quad, which is the hardest to develop. And with my leg really straight, I also feel glute. So I feel a lot of everything on here, and I just stand with the tiny bit of pressure on my floor foot. Here's what it looks like from the other side. Stand tall. Look, I have the tiniest just toe tap here. I push through my big toe. I feel my quad engage, and I stand nice and tall. All right. To graduate from there is to stand in the center, same cue, do a toe plank or engage your plantar muscle, right? Stand up, and then I don't stand ramrod straight on this one. I have a tiny little bend in my knee, and I have my other foot ready should I lose my balance. But I find something to focus on out here in the distance, and if I need to, I agilely dismount from there without falling over anything. Okay? Toe plank, engage your plantar muscle, stand upon it, and keep your balance. Struggling today? This also has a heart rate benefit. There are times where I will make my client do regular cardio and then stand on here and try and balance after they're fatigued a little bit. It's a different way of keeping their heart rate up. Okay? There are lots of other things that you can do, upper body exercises as well. You can do push-ups on here. You can do one-arm push-ups. There's just a variety of things. Your imagination is the only thing that's limiting you, okay? So this just barely scratches the surface. I can send you a link, again, that will show you all the different exercises you can do. Aaron uses this for golf. He has his people stand on here. He gives them a medicine ball to rotate, and it just helps them with control. So you can't be violent, and otherwise you'll lose your balance. Same thing, he'll have people stand on there and do cable rows because they have to engage both directions. They can't just let it go on the eccentric portion or they'll get pulled off of here. So it's a good tool to help people slow down their reps when it comes to, doing traditional strength exercises. Now we'll move on to the slant boards. All right. So it was brought up that there was a safety kind of issue on here as you have clients that step on here and have very little situational awareness. They may step too high on here or off to the side, and it can tip over, or it can pull on the hinges. So we recommend that you either stand behind it with your foot to help brace it, or grab a heavy dumbbell and set it down behind so it's nice and stable and it doesn't slide or tip quite as easily. Okay, so the main purpose of the slant board is to help a client deal with dorsiflexion and plantar flexion issues. Okay, we've all got clients that when you ask them to squat, they give you this action. A lot of forward bend in the knees. They round their back out, and they end up feeling it across their quads and across the front of their knees. Using the slant board, even just having their heels on it and the feet on the ground, takes away some of that mobility issue there in their top of their ankle. Okay, so with the heels elevated, it's easier to get them to stick their backside back, hinge their hips, keep their chest up, so they can feel more glutes and quads and low back without shooting the knees forward and tweaking out their knees. Okay, so We've all seen this. I'm sure we've all used it, okay? But always good to refresh. Another thing is when you stand on it this way, it just helps promote more dorsiflexion here, and it also stretches your Achilles out. So that will make flat foot squats that much more effective. So the key to remember is if you elevate the heel, it just makes the movements more easy. Okay? So in a sumo squat, same situation. You elevate the heels and it's easier for them to open their knees up wide, which is what we want. You know, how many people do a sumo squat and they end up shooting their knees inward and you end up feeling the inside head of the quad, okay, instead of the adductor muscles there. Elevating the heels helps the low back hinge a lot easier, okay? Elevating the heels of the hands also helps for people who can't do push-ups because dorsiflexing the wrist causes pain for them. You elevate the heels of the hands and you can do push-ups a lot easier. If you have access to two of these slant boards, like we have one in every room at 65th Street, we have one in every room here at Main Street, okay? But elevating the heels of the hands just makes push-ups that much easier. You're able to keep your shoulders from pinching. You can do more reps because there's less discomfort, and it's just that much easier to move. And it just helps the client feel better because you've unlocked something that they couldn't do before and now they can. Okay, I want to change views for this last one. So I've got another prop here. I've got the stick and I've got the slant board, and I stand with the big toe up high on the slant board and the pinky toe down the hill, okay? So when I stand on here, my foot is trying to roll outward. It's trying to supinate, and I want to avoid that. So I give a toe plank, and I try and push through my big toe. Leg is crazy straight, and I feel the inside head of the quad, and I also feel my outer hip having to try to stabilize as well as I try to stand as if I'm on a flat surface. So the inside part of my foot is working a lot. Big toe, plantar muscle, inside part of the calf, inside part of the quad, outer hip stabilizes as well. I hold that for a few seconds, and I really feel it in my foot. And then I go the other direction, okay? I use my stick to stabilize, and now my big toe is downhill and my pinky toe is uphill, and it's so much easier to roll this direction, okay? I can use my soleus muscle. I use the outside head of my quad, all of which is much more developed. I'm still having to keep my balance, but this really works as an aggressive way to strengthen those ankles, okay, and strengthen everything else up the chain. Let's move on to the last part, which is super basic, but also super helpful. Hey, look, here are your handles. You have a left and a right. You know that you've got it in the right position to hand to your client if the logo is on top of the handle. It won't work if your logo is underneath, okay? Simple, but easily confused, at least for me. I still have trouble with my left and my right. So you grip on this handle, and these are designed to be gripped with some effort. Normally, I tell my folks to grip lightly, but with these handles, you can grip a little more, get a little more stability, and you can do a lot more weight, a lot more comfortably, okay? With the double handle, same situation. On the bottom is a left and a right. You can see the L and the R there, okay? This is super helpful because you can, once again, grip it pretty hard and you can do more weight, and your pinky doesn't get smashed like it does when you're using just the rope, okay? For instance, when I'm doing a bicep curl and I have the ergonomic handle on here and I've got this extra plastic right here, I can grip on this handle and I place the extra into the palm of my hand firmly, okay? Doesn't seem like much, but with this extra leverage and my wrist locked in the right position, I'm able to do a lot more weight, a lot more comfortably. This extra leverage makes a huge difference. So I can do more weight with perfect form without getting my shoulder involved. It's all bicep, okay? So these are the kind of cues that you want to give your people. Hey, get a good grip. Put the extra plastic in the palm of your hand, rest it on the heel, make sure it stays good and snug. Doesn't matter what type of exercise you're doing, a push or a pull, you can do more weight with better comfort with these handles. You get me? Good. Next time, come to the practical, get yourself some delicious, terrible food and beer as well.